So as I mentioned in the Ergo video last week, chairs are an extremely important part of your desk setup and probably one of the most important ones because it's the one that your body is interacting with for the most amount of time. Today we're going to go over a few things that you should focus on when looking at a new chair, and I'm going to give you some examples of some chairs that you can look at for yourself. So a quick note, I've been working in the furniture industry, specifically office and business furniture, for the last 7 years, so I think I have a pretty decent idea of what makes a good desk chair. So there are three major categories that you should look at when going to buy a new chair. The first is going to be build quality, the second is going to be the adjustments, and then the third is going to be the support. So what I mean by build quality is the chair mainly plastic? Is it mainly cheap thin plastic? Is it mainly a mix of very heavy molded plastics mixed in with metals? One of the things that makes an expensive chair a lot more expensive is actually the upholstery that goes on it, and that upholstery can make a very big difference. My biggest suggestion for not only a desk chair but any furniture, avoid bonded leather. Bonded leather is what you often see cracking and peeling away, and it's what you often see on cheaper pieces of furniture. Even some really high-end office chairs use bonded leather. Bonded leather, however, is very different from things like vegan leather or synthetic leather that a lot of the high-end chair manufacturers use when giving you that kind of option. The biggest benefit that the vegan leather or synthetic leather gives you over regular leather is its breathability. Regular leather is not typically as breathable. It tends to get very hot and very uncomfortable, and I don't normally suggest a true leather for a chair that you're going to be spending all day on. However, most chairs that are destined for a task or work desk environment are going to be usually in some kind of textile. Now, if you're buying brand new, you can take a look at all of the textiles that the company that you're going to be buying your chair from provides for you, and a lot of them will actually have wear and cleanability charts for them that will tell you how it should wear over time, how much it holds up to wear, and how easy it is to clean. Now, one of the last aspects of build quality is what kind of standards they apply to their products, and a lot of the higher end furniture will follow the BIFMA standard. Now, BIFMA stands for the Business and Institutional Furniture Manufacturers Association, and they require all office seating to hit the weight requirement of at least 275 pounds. Now, a lot of these manufacturers will actually test their chairs to be higher than that, just like with any other kind of product and a weight limit standard, but they have to at least meet a minimum of 275, and a lot of them, as far as I know, aim for about 300 pounds. Now, I know that weight does not cover everybody, but there are some chairs that are able to be ordered with a heavier duty cylinder, for example, that will help accommodate a heavier person. But in terms of build quality, what you pay for is what you get. So one of the biggest differences between a good quality chair and a cheap chair is going to be that build quality. Now, another major gap between a cheap chair and a good chair is going to be the amount of adjustments that they give you. Personally, there are three main areas of adjustment. There's going to be the tilt mechanism, there's going to be the lumbar support, and then there's going to be the armrests. So most cheap chairs will have what's called a single point tilt mechanism. A single point mechanism basically rotates right from the top of the cylinder at the bottom of the seat, and it moves the entire chair all the way in as one piece. And this is not very ergonomic for you. It's very basic. It raises up the seat as well as lowering the back, which can cut off circulation in your legs. Generally, it's not seen as a very good tilt option, and it's usually kept on things that are cheaper. Now, next up, you have knee tilt, which is fairly common on office chairs, and that is where the tilting mechanism is actually focused on the front edge of the seat pan. What this does compared to a single point tilt is that it keeps the seat much more level in comparison, which is a lot more comfortable and helps a lot more with the leg circulation. Next up in the chain is a synchro tilt, and this is one that you'll normally see advertised on ergonomic focused chairs. And what this is the back and the seat will tilt at a different ratio from one another. Usually the back will tilt back at a 2-to-1 ratio to the seat. What that allows is the seat to stay relatively flat while the back is able to recline more. This allows your legs to stay in a relatively neutral position the entire time that you lean back, so you can stay nice and comfortable while you're leaning back. A very uncommon option is a forward tilt, which allows your seat pan to tilt forward while you're sitting in it. This is something that is not a very common mechanism, but if you like to sit on the edge of your chair a lot, this is something that can really help ease the pain on your back. If you find that you normally sit on the edge of your seat, a forward tilt mechanism can be very beneficial for you. Finally, the king of the crop is a multi-function tilt. What that does is it allows you to tilt the back and the seat entirely independent of one another, and it allows you to get the most adjustability out of your entire chair. One thing that you will notice is that a lot of the adjustments that are considered king of the crop are the ones that allow you to get the most custom adjustment possible that'll fit your body, because as I mentioned before, everybody's body is entirely different, so being able to adjust your chair to fit your body is extremely important and what makes them extremely comfortable. Now next up is lumbar support, and there are three main types of lumbar support. There's fixed lumbar support, like what I have in my chair, where the lumbar support doesn't actually move separate from the rest of the chair. My lumbar support is built right into the back, so when I raise the back, it raises the lumbar support. I'm able to put it to whatever height fits my back perfectly, but I can't move that adjustment for the lumbar separate from the back. Next up would be an adjustable lumbar support, and this is something where the lumbar is entirely separate from the rest of the adjustments on the chair, so you can adjust that lumbar however you feel works best. You'll find these most commonly on a lot of the mesh back chairs because it allows that lumbar support to move up and down and not really mess with the upholstery on the back. And last up is going to be dynamic lumbar support, and what that is the chair automatically adjusts its shape depending on how you're sitting and your current posture. You can find this on some pretty expensive chairs. It's not very common because it is very expensive, but when it's done right, it can make a very comfortable, very comfortable chair. And as a little bonus, there's always external lumbar support, like a pillow or something that you can put behind your lower back to help keep that natural curve in your spine. And finally, armrests. Now, a lot of people may not think that armrests are very important, but they can make a huge difference on the comfort of your chair, especially if you're working in it over a long period of time. As I mentioned in last week's video, the most comfortable and ergonomic position for your arm is a 90-degree angle. Now, you want to make sure that that 90-degree angle is achieved with your shoulders in a natural resting position. You don't want to be hunched over trying to keep that 90-degree angle, because then you're putting a lot of strain on your neck and your shoulders. So this is where having height adjustable armrests are important, and not all chairs will have this. A lot of the cheaper chairs will have a fixed arm. A lot of conference chairs will also have a fixed arm, which is why they're not meant for long-term use. They're meant for use in a conference room, a couple hour meeting or something maximum. But a good task or office chair is going to have good height adjustable arms. Now, arms can have a bunch of other adjustments as well. They can have width adjustments, they can have angular adjustments, and they can also have depth adjustments, which is really nice as well. Depending on your chair and depending on which manufacturer you get it from, they're all going to have their own kind of styles to these. Some of them are going to have their own patents for the way that their arms work, but make sure that you have a good chair. Personally, I would make sure that your chair at least has height and width adjustments on the armrests. And finally, support. Now, what gets covered under support, mainly in my opinion, is the warranty and the ability to buy spare parts. A lot of the cheaper brands, it's going to be, one, almost impossible to find spare parts for those products, and two, their warranties are usually very short, anywhere from 1 to 5 years. With the larger manufacturers, however, and the higher quality chairs, a lot of them have anywhere from 10 to 15 year long warranties, and it's extremely easy to buy spare parts either directly from them, and some of them you can even buy from third-party sources that repair the chairs on a regular basis. The ability to get spare parts also allows these chairs to be refurbished and then resold later on, helping reduce waste and keeping a good quality product out in the world for a longer period of time. So that covers the basic things that you want to look for when looking for a chair. Now we're going to go over some recommendations and some advice for you if you're looking for a chair right now. Typically, the best value quality range is about $300 to $600 US. You will often see chairs that go for $1,000+ US. When buying those $1,000+ chairs, you usually get a much higher warranty, much higher quality upholstery, and you get a lot more of those adjustability options that we talked about earlier, like the dynamic lumbar support, the fancier tilt mechanisms, and just overall more adjustability. That's why I actually usually suggest people look at those $1,000+ chairs as refurbished, because you can get them for around $400 to $600 US, and they're a very, very good option. With the pandemic, however, the used and refurbished market has been a little bit weird and it's been a little bit difficult, but you're going to have to look at the resellers in your area. A lot of them will buy up these expensive chairs from companies that are either closing offices or moving offices or getting rid of old inventory and buying new furniture, and they will take them, they will assess the quality of it, they will replace parts that need to be replaced, and if they feel like they need to replace the upholstery, they will replace the upholstery. A lot of them will just replace the upholstery outright, because that's usually going to be the most difficult part of a chair to clean. The most important thing though when looking for a chair is that fit is a very personal thing. Again, everybody's bodies are very different, and having the ability to return or try out a chair first is extremely important, because you don't want to go ahead and buy a chair based on someone else's recommendation and then it's just not a comfortable fit for you or your body. I will go through a few options, but if you want the full list of my suggestions, I do have a post in the Discord about it. I will leave a link in the video description below and you can go ahead and check it out for yourself. So let's go through a few different price tiers on chairs, both new and used, and talk about why I suggest them and who they're good for. Now, in the budget category, I only really suggest these if you don't want to spend much, but you also don't mind replacing your chairs every few years. I try to advise against this, both for your body and the environment, but not everybody can spend a good chunk of money on a chair, and that's understandable. So some brands and models to look at are Flash Furniture. Flash Furniture, you'll often see at Office Depot or Staples, depending on which country you're in. And these ones will be a bunch of different model names. They usually rotate quite a bit. They have a lot available, but they won't last the longest. Staples also carries their own brand called the Hyken, a very decent budget option as well. Now, I can only really suggest one new chair in the mid-range new price range, and that is going to be the Autonomous Ergo Chair 2. This is a really good option. I've had a few friends buy it after my suggestion, and they've really, really liked it. This is the only one that I can really, really suggest in this mid-range new. Now, the next tier is going to be mid-range if you buy refurb, or high-end if you buy new. You're going to see the big three companies: Herman Miller, Kielhauer, and Steelcase. So from Herman Miller, you can get the Aeron, which is considered one of the best chairs that you can personally buy for long-term seating. You'll see a lot of people using this chair. It is considered, a timeless classic in terms of office furniture, and for good reason. It is a very comfortable chair. A lot of people do like it, but for some people, they don't really like that meshy feel. The M-Body is one that actually has that dynamic lumbar support that we talked about earlier, and Logitech has partnered with Herman Miller to bring their own version of that, which you may have seen recently. Now with Kielhauer, most of these chairs you're only going to be able to buy refurb. Kielhauer tends to sell more business to business, so it's a lot more difficult to get their chairs brand new. But if you do want to look at the refurb market, the Squig is a very, very good, comfortable chair. It was designed in partnership with the body mechanics group at Waterloo University, and it's a very good and well-built chair. They have two other options, the Junior and the 6C. The 6C is a mesh back chair, very comfortable, but just make sure you get it with a lumbar support if you are looking at that one. Now with Steelcase, the Leap V2 is my most suggested refurb purchase. It is one that is very common. You can find it at almost any office furniture refurb place. They will usually have quite a few of these because it is a very, very popular chair. It is very well built, and from personal experience, it has fit a lot of different sized people, a lot of different body types and everybody that I've suggested that has picked it up has really enjoyed it. Again, with all of these suggestions, make sure you do not buy bonded leather. If I find out that you bought a bonded leather chair, I'm going to come over there. I'm going to smack you right off of it, alright? And that's it. Those are all of my suggestions on what to look for when going out and buying a chair, and some suggestions on actual chairs that you can look for yourself. Now, if any of the chairs I've talked about or any of the ones that are in that Discord post I mentioned earlier don't fit your needs, feel free to look around, take a look at reviews. Just make sure that you focus on a lot of those things that I talked about earlier, and if you need any help or suggestions, you're more than welcome to ask me either in the comments or in the Discord, and I'll do my best to help you out. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like subscribed. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, feel free to leave those down in the comment section below, and I will get back to them as quickly as I can. Thanks again to my patron sponsor, Step Back. Thank you for watching the end of the video. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next Friday.